It is Black Monday, so for those of you that are hoping for another regime change, I guess you can hold your breath. It's not coming today. And Robert Saleh thinks so positively that he's coming back that he actually bought everybody on the team a T-shirt that says "Finish." I wonder if he got one for himself.
I see
you see what I did there? Anyhow, good afternoon, Evan. How are you today,
I'm
kid?
all right. How was your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic. That's the beauty of not having a rooting interest or a gambling interest in the outcome of sporting events. It's always a good weekend.
Even losing to the Dolphins the way the Jets did, that didn't bother you?
Look, I told you, you wanted them to win the game more than I cared about the game. And I respect that because it would have been nice if nothing else, we could put a little feather in our cap that we kept the Dolphins out of the playoffs. And that's what we could have done. We didn't do it. Another amazing offensive performance. We have scored 4 touchdowns in the last 6 games.
Anemic offense, wasted
fantastic.
Timeouts, another waste of a season. It's been a 12 consecutive wastes of seasons in which we spend 3 hours every Sunday getting upset and really just wasting our time. That's what we've done over the last 12 years. How's
and
it
it's
feel?
like, we say a lot on this show, there are different types of 7 and 10s. There's a 7 and 10 where you win your last 5 games and you feel really good about the progress the quarterback makes, the team makes, and this makes, and that makes, and you go into the offseason feeling really good. Then there's a 7 and 10 where you lose your last 6 games and you feel like crap, which is the way we typically end our season.
Ask yourself this, because I have the answer. Do you know how many times in the history of this pathetic franchise they've ended a season with 6 straight losses or more? How many times? Twice. What are the other 2 times?
Just a guess.
It's happened 1 time. And the one time it happened, they went 1-15 in the Richie Kotite year.
So I said twice, this one and another one.
Yeah, but put that in perspective, Craig.
Right.
That's how bad this close was.
I got the question right.
Craig, I'm so proud of you.
Now we're talking.
You know something about sports.
There we go.
You've defied all the predictions.
There we go.
And you got something right.
The guy that wasn't hired for his sports knowledge drops a little ditty on you.
But let that sink in. That's how bad the close to this season was. It was the worst close this franchise has seen since they went 1-15.
Look, I guarantee you that Woody Johnson's already told Robert Saleh he's coming back.
Great.
Because there's no reason you don't put that finished T-shirt in every guy's locker if you haven't been promised you're coming back.
Nope. Unless you're pulling a Costanza. Sometimes I make TV references you'll understand.
I understand that one.
George Costanza was fired one day. He just showed up to work the next day.
I told you I used to work with a guy in Jersey like that, an engineer, who got fired and said, I'll see you tomorrow.
Right, so Robert
just
Saleh
kept coming back until they were like, all right, welcome back.
Robert Saleh probably hasn't been told anything about next year, so he figured, let me put my head down and game plan for 2023.
Listen, they've had to have the conversation. Woody was in Florida yesterday. You had to greet all the players at the end of the game. Don't tell me that Woody Johnson went to Miami and at no point met with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh.
I don't think these kinds of decisions. Yes and no. I don't think these kinds of decisions, especially when the last few weeks impact how you view a season, very similar to Joe Judge a year ago, where you should have that decision made within an hour of the game ending. Sometimes you got to think about it. Sometimes you've got to say, all right, let me fathom the garbage I just watched in Week 18.
Yeah.
And let me decide, does that play a role or an impact in me making the decision on his future? But you've said something, Beningo has said something, and you guys are right. I would really only want to make a change if I'm getting somebody who's a proven commodity.
Yeah. Now, for me, the only guy is Jim Harbaugh. I know other people want to include Sean Payton in that. I'm not going to argue and nitpick, who you want the guy to be. But, yeah, I would bring Robert Saleh back unless you told me that I was replacing him with Jim Harbaugh. Outside of that, Robert Saleh's coming back.
The problem is, why is he coming back? Is he coming back because there's something you've seen over the course of these 2 years that makes you believe he's the guy? Or are you simply bringing him back because of a calendar? Because the calendar tells you it's only 2 seasons, and it would be wrong to fire a guy after 2 seasons, even though the New York Giants did it 3 consecutive times before they finally got it right.
I think the question is, why would Woody Johnson bring him back, right? Woody Johnson has to be convinced, I suppose, that he has seen enough improvement from year to year to warrant one more year to see what the next jump is. I'm not saying I agree with that or you agree with that, but if you try to sell me on that, that's the selling point, right? That the jump from year 1 to 2 is okay. 2 to 3 is going to be better.
Well, it better be better. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I have no expectations, to be honest. I don't even know who my quarterback's going to be.
It can't be Zach Wilson.
Right.
It can't be Joe Flacco. It probably shouldn't be Mike White.
No, it's none of them. Let's stop with the Mike White crap. It's none of them. We need 3 new quarterbacks on this team.
The one positive about last night's football game, even though my Green Bay Packer prediction went in flames before it could get started, is it opens up that possibility again.
Yeah, I don't know.
It does.
I don't think that's happening
What?
either. I don't know. I think, listen.
I don't know is not an answer, by the way.
Aaron Rodgers coming here. I think my gut is that if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, he's going to have a choice of where he's going to go. Why would you go to an organization that never wins?
So you can be the guy to win.
Yeah, but maybe that's not what makes that turns you on anymore.
Maybe.
Like, to me, if you're Aaron Rodgers, money's no longer an issue, although you're going to demand a lot of money, but it's not like the driving force, right? You've got your Super Bowl tucked away in your living room, so you got that. At this stage of your career, I think you want another crack at winning. And while you and I could sit here and make a very eloquent argument that the New York Jets are poised to win outside of not having a quarterback, there may be other teams, as we see this playoff picture play itself out, that are in a better position than we are.
And where you're right
and
is
we
that,
can argue it, but I think that's where I'd go if I'm him.
Well, he's going to have the power in this whole thing.
100%.
He's going to get to decide. If he has no interest in following in the footsteps of Brett Favre, then it's not going to happen. It's a non-starter. But maybe he wants to play in New York. Maybe he likes Garrett Wilson. I don't know.
Or, I mean, you start talking about, let's say San Francisco gets eliminated before they get to the Super Bowl. I mean, things like that,
Absolutely.
Teams like that.
I get that.
And I think him, now look, you got to add Brady to the mix. Tom Brady is an unrestricted free agent after this year. Considering there's 15 legitimate veteran quarterbacks who are going to be available, Brady and Rodgers, they dictate the market.
Sure.
Because they pick where they want to go because of who they are.
Right.
So the New York Jets will be in line. I would take both those guys. So would you. It's a 1-year, 2-year deal, but it gives me a chance to dream. It's not a long-term solution.
No.
It is a short-term solution. We opened up the window a little bit more, and now let's take our run at it. Outside of those guys, I mean, I listen, I'm a diehard Jet fan. I could make a very articulate argument for why the New York Jets would be a great destination for either one of those guys. I don't believe either one of those guys would ever consider the New York Jets.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers would consider it. He just may not ultimately decide to pursue that.
Don't forget, we are a loser franchise. Let's just own what we are. We have talent, yeah. We have a very good defense, yep. We've got young talent at wide receivers, sure. We may even have a good running back. Knock on wood, Breece Hall comes back from the ACL, and that's a year injury. So at best, you're talking, what, November 1?
He says he'll be ready for the start of the year.
He says it, but he won't be. We know what torn ACLs are, right? So let's just, whenever he comes back, knock on wood, he comes back, I can still run the way we saw him run. Who, by the way, having missed the last 10 games of the year, is still our leading rusher for this season.
Look, this season could have been...
That makes sense to me.
Oh, it does make sense. Breece Hall was awesome.
Guy played in 7 games.
Yeah. Did you watch him?
Yeah.
He was a home run hitter.
Yes, I did.
He would have led all rookie running backs in rushing yards if he stayed healthy. He tweeted that out yesterday.
Kenny Walker.
No, he would have.
Well, Kenny Walker.
Did you watch Breece Hall over the first part of the year?
Kenny Walker would have been up there.
Yeah, Ken Walker's nice.
Especially after AVT went down.
That's great.
Kenny Walker would have been up
Breece
there.
Hall would have finished ahead.
Well, we like to say these things, but we don't know for sure, do
Breece Hall said it.
Why don't we just say this? I'm willing to say it. I'm sure you're willing to say it too because I know you feel it. The New York Jets are a loser franchise.
Yeah, they are.
Now, they have really good people in that building, people I like a lot, both that play and people that don't play, that go to work every day thinking this is going to be the year it's different. And we've had a little taste for Rex Ryan, sure. But at the end of the day, it is a loser franchise. And until we get a legitimate quarterback, and I'm going to tell you another position, and I know you agree with me, and we haven't even discussed it, an offensive coordinator who on 3rd and 9 in a meaningless game doesn't call a run up the middle.
Right.
Could I get that possibly?
That'd be nice.
Is that something that we could ask for?
That's a great point. Aaron Rodgers would not want to go from one LaFleur to another LaFleur.
No joke. And I'm sure Matt, Mike, but whatever the names are good guys. All right? But I'm telling you, I'm watching the game as you are yesterday. I forget the exact, the 3rd and 9, 10, whatever it was. And we run the ball up the gut. And I'm saying to myself, what the F are we doing? And then last night, I watched a team that had nothing to play for. And I said to myself, God darn it, the Detroit Lions look a lot different than the New York Jets. Did they not?
Well, because they're better.
They're competent. They took some risks. They were having fun.
Yeah.
And they beat the Green Bay Packers
at Lambeau. A big part of why they did that, and there was one where it was 3rd and 17, and they ran up the middle with Ty Johnson and then kicked the field goal, was because they know that they have a better chance of getting yards on a play like that than dropping Joe Flacco back with a crap offensive line where everybody knows he's throwing no one guy.
Garrett Wilson.
So I get the frustration, but the truth is the best play call, the one that had the best chance at succeeding on 3rd and 17 after a dopey false start was running the ball up the middle with Johnson as compared to the statue getting harassed after he drops back.
All we did was play for a field goal because we suck. We're losers. And the fact that they called the run on 3rd and 17 tells you all you need to know.
The problem is, bro.
And he's coming back.
The problem is, and this is why your example I sort of disagree with, is it worked. They got 12 yards out of it and kicked a field goal.
Yeah, that's not a first down last time I checked.
And
then on 4th and 5, let's have some balls and maybe go for it. Detroit ran a flea flicker yesterday. Detroit went for it on 4th down.
But there's a lot of differences between Detroit and New York. Have you heard of Jared Goff? I'd like him to be my quarterback.
All of a sudden,
he's good.
Everybody's back in love with Jared Goff.
He's better than what the Jets have.
Was the punchline of a joke 2 years ago.
That's not the point.
And now look at Jared Goff. We all want him.
That's not the point. You're comparing the Lion decisions versus the Jet decisions.
Meanwhile,
Jared Goff is a lot better than Joe Flacco. The Lions offense is a lot better than the Jet offense.
Yeah, you're right. I'd rather be a Lion fan today than a Jet fan today. We suck. We're a bunch of losers. That's what we are. And by the way, congratulations to the New York Giants. I got to tell you, I watched that game yesterday, and you go into it, you're playing a third-string quarterback who gets his first ever, chance to throw a football in 6 years of his young career, and his girlfriend's there, and she's not sitting next to his father, and I can't figure out why they're not talking to each other.
Made it very clear.
Yes, he did. He's like, there's a guy there.
Somebody was sitting there, and they had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, they showed that seat twice. The guy wasn't there either time, so either he's got a prostate problem or he doesn't exist. His name is Snuffleupagus. Either way, the New York Giants playing backups, right? You knew they were going to lose the game. You don't care with them losing the game. Who cares? They gave the Eagles the run for their money.
They competed.
They scored a couple touchdowns. Galladay actually made a catch that mattered. And while they did lose the game.
He didn't just make a catch that mattered. He made an incredible play.
Yes, he did.
Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, who knew he could actually still do that at $4 million per reception this year? That being said, that's a competent team. You're talking third-string players, guys you've never heard of, playing against a team that's desperate to win the game for the number 1 seed, and the New York Giants gave them every bit of a problem, and I love that.
They put in a quarterback, and having Davis Webb start for the New York Giants is just freaking awesome because they righted the wrong from 5 years ago when Davis Webb should have been the guy to replace Eli Manning, and instead it was Geno Smith. So it took a few administrations, it took a few different head coaches, but finally Davis Webb starts for the Giants. But Davis Webb, without Saquon Barkley, without Andrew Thomas, and without any wide receiver weapons, unless you want to count Kenny Golladay, who all of a sudden became a weapon,
can't count him.
Still managed to go out there, and they actually produced some semblance of an offense. Yeah. They looked better on offense than the Jets did.
Right, and it's frustrating. I give a lot of credit and respect to the New York Giants and the coaching staff and Brian Daboll, et cetera. And obviously the guys that went in there that got a rare chance to play, they played their asses off. And they gave the Eagles everything they wanted in that game, and that may serve them well if they can beat the Vikings, because then guess who they have after that? Most likely, at least.
No, definitely. Because the Seahawks ain't beating the Niners.
Right, so most likely. I mean, things can happen, right? They get the Eagles again, and then you'd have shades of Giants, Patriots a few years back.
Correct.
How about that?
That was a fun game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I give the Giant backups
Eagles played their starters.
And I give the Giant backups a lot of credit for competing.
Yep.
But what the hell would that have to do with playing the Eagles in 2 weeks?
Because
that's a nice story.
Because here's the deal. Much like 10 years ago.
No, not much like 10 years ago. Because half the guys who were on the field yesterday are not seeing the field in a divisional matchup against Philly.
Where the Eagles don't scare us.
There's no point.
They needed to win that game, right? They had their star quarterback back, the MVP of the league. And guess what? We handled them. How many touchdowns did they score yesterday?
Did you just say we?
We, as a New Yorker, right? If I'm talking as if I'm a Giant player.
Have you morphed in day one of the Giant build-up for the wild card game into a Giant we fan?
No, let me rephrase that. When I said we, I was talking as if I was a Giant player. I'm clearly not. It's been a long time since I kicked that 50-yarder at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. And I don't like to talk about it much because it brings back some other memories I'd rather not relive in Philadelphia because you know how I feel about that godforsaken town. Other than the pretzels and the water ice, there's nothing good over there. And Lorenzo's and Son's Pizza on South Street because it's like a quadruple size slice. Anyway, that being said, I respect the Giant organization. I'm jealous and I'm envious. Even in a loss that they didn't give a rat's ass about, they had a chance to win the game. Meanwhile, the New York Jets go to Miami against Skylar effing Thompson, and we can't win the game.
I thought you didn't care.
It pisses me off.
All of a sudden, at the beginning of this show, like 16 minutes ago, I had a good weekend. Good thing I didn't care about the game. By 2:19, you've turned into me.
I'm pissed off. And I'll tell you why. The New York Giants scored a touchdown with, what's his name, Davis Webb?
Davis Webb.
Yeah, that's more touchdowns than the Jets have scored in the last 3 games combined.
Yep.
It's an embarrassment.
Davis Webb had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he ran for a touchdown, and he threw a touchdown.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to the playoffs this year. Yeah, but we had to beat the Rams 2 years ago because that made a lot of sense, you morons. And here we are. And I love the Jets, but they're a loser franchise. That's what the T-shirt should have said that Robert Saleh put in the back of every guy's locker. I'm a loser.
Do you remember the T-shirt?
What it should have said on it.
Do you remember the T-shirt he wore at training camp when we visited?
Yes.
And he handed it to B&U?
Positive vibes only.
Yeah. Coach, that's why it's difficult, if not impossible, to actually live by that T-shirt name.
I'm going to start making T-shirts.
Vibes only.
No, I got positive vibes. I'm making T-shirts. That's what I'm doing.
That says we're losers?
I think the T-shirt should say I'm a loser.
Yeah.
On it. Right? Prove me wrong. Spot the lie. And I got a new T-shirt company too, guys.
Just over the weekend, you created a T-shirt company?
No, I don't have the company.
Oh.
I've connected with the company. They're good people. They make all the swag for the Huguenots for New Rochelle, and I'm gonna tell you what they're called right here. My man Chuck, and the name of the company is CC Baseball and Apparel, and they're good people. So I'm going to start having sweatshirts and hoodies and things made.
Losers since 1960,
and
the New York Football Jets.
At no cost to me. That's how I'm going to work out that deal.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to come up with a shirt they can sell to the rest of you losers. All right? And I'll just be the model, the male model.
You'll be the head loser.
Yeah, the first shirt I'm making, it just says, I'm a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
You guys, when you did the morning show, helped my "I'm a loser" comment become a big deal because you kept playing that drop over and over again.
You were right.
I'm a loser. I'm a loser. Yeah. I'm a loser. I knew it before you knew it. We're losers.
You were a real trendsetter without knowing it, Evan.
Thank you.
I got to give you all the credit for that. You should actually trademark the term "I'm a loser."
You're right. I should.
Plus, I am a loser because I'm not sure which one plays better on shirts. I'm a loser or I am a loser. Probably I'm.
Yeah, I would go with I'm
a loser.
Because that's how normal.
I'm a loser.
That's how normal humans talk. We don't say
I'm a loser.
I am a loser.
I am a loser.
I'm a loser.
I'm a loser.
I'm a loser.
Yeah, like I would say you're a loser, not you are a loser.
Right.
Right.
And there's a 95% chance that when I said I'm a loser, I was probably talking about the Jets.
There's a good chance it was. Or your love life at the time.
At the time, yes.
That does predate your marriage.
That does, you're right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we only brought you in there, sporadically. And it was always to mock you in some way, shape, or form. Or to let you show off your presidential knowledge.
That's true. Remember I did that on your show?
Yes, I do remember.
Every president without hesitation.
And he even got the tricky ones where it's like the same guy or a guy.
Grover Cleveland.
A guy.
Grover Cleveland. Benjamin Harrison.
Like the split.
Grover Cleveland.
The split presidencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got them all. I wasn't surprised, but he got
You know why I got it? Because
I'm a loser.
I'm a loser.
Yeah.
I'm a loser.
That. So, and I also have the finished version of our badass hog. Right? So I'm excited about that.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
Yeah, as soon as, can you have them bringing it to me? I left it in my office. I'll put that out there today. There's one little change left. I'm taking one of the tattoos off the Hog's arm.
Which one?
The flying football.
You don't like the flying football?
It didn't look real. It didn't look real.
How about the Hogs yesterday pounding the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Look at that.
And this hog has to be as realistic as possible,
Sure.
as you know.
Yeah.
You can't have like a Fugazi hog. Like if I'm going to put out the official hog of the Carton and Roberts show, he's got to look legit.
Well, the legs have become very, very thick.
Yeah,
and I think
the right
that's
color
realistic.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, like our hog has spent a lot of time in tanning boots.
Sure.
He's as orange as the day is
He's
long.
the Sid Rosenberg of Hogs.
Also well placed, Slight. Yes, absolutely.
Well, he's very
Absolutely
tan.
right.
You know that.
Sid has one of the worst fake tans in America. Yes. But he thinks he looks good. I'm not going to tell him he doesn't. All right, 877-337-6666. We got all the Jet anger. We got you Giant fans pumped up. So listen, it's Giants-Vikings, right?
Yes.
I heard Joe on with Tiki and Tierney earlier today. He has already picked against the New York Giants. He loves the Vikings in this game. I, of course, as the football expert in this radio station, will walk you through why the Giants can and
You know
will
what
win that
Joe
game.
is fearful of? Because he was telling me this on Saturday, and I understand
Everybody
it.
loves the Giants.
It does feel, because of the nature of that game a few weeks ago, where the Giants should have won the game despite the mistakes that they made, that you're going to hear it all week. You're going to hear it on this radio station. Giant fans, non-Giant fans.
Do you think that's homerism or
No.
people really breaking it down?
So it's not homerism, Craig. What it is it's being really, you're remembering what just happened. Like, which is logical. You're thinking back a few weeks to Christmas Eve. We all remember the game. We all watched the game. And every football fan walked away from that game saying, wow, the Giants can beat this team. Oh, I just want another shot at them. So I don't think it's homerism. I think it's just we're reacting to what we saw.
Well, but to be fair, you can make a very good argument for why the New York Giants can and even would win this game, because we saw them a month ago give Minnesota all they wanted.
That's what I just said.
Okay.
That's the reason
reiterating.
why that's happening.
But however, you have to acknowledge that on this radio station, sometimes the host, although this is not a collusion, we don't get together and discuss it. Nobody ever likes to pick against the home team in a playoff game. It's like when the Yankees played the Red Sox, we discussed it. And there are other games like that. Well, all of a sudden, everybody's picking the Giants, right? Now, do you want to just get in your early pick now? I will hold you to it, or do you want to wait till Friday?
My first reaction, and I think I have the right to change my view as the week goes on, my first gut feeling is the Vikings are going to win the game.
Okay. And by the way, they're at home. And oh, by the way, they're 13-4.
Yes.
So I know their point differential is negative.
Well, we look at,
but to be fair, they are 13-4.
I think we all agree we expect a close football game. That's our first reaction.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at the Vikings' ability to win close games and say, see, they're lucky. They're just a lucky team. I look at it the other way and say they have been tested in every possible way, and they've won all sorts of games.
Yes.
All sorts of close games.
You know, it's funny, people talk all of a sudden, like every guy with a mouth and a microphone, is suddenly an expert on all things, right? And they talk, point differential. To be fair, there's an outlier in the group.
Well, because they got blown out twice.
Right. They lost 40-3 to the Dallas Cowboys.
And they got pounded by Green Bay.
Right. I mean, even if you just took that game out, you're talking about 37 extra points.
But
now,
Craig,
you want to add the game just real quick. You brought up Green Bay. It's a fair one to bring up. They lost by 24 to Green Bay. So those two games represent a 61-point differential.
Right.
So they're outliers there. So it's not as easy as just saying, oh, wait a minute, they're 13-4. Now, you can say about Minnesota that they don't have a single win this year other than the Chicago win, by more than a touchdown.
Right. They've won a lot of close games, and you can kind of spin that however you want. One spin is they're lucky. The other spin is they know how to close. Yeah. They know how to win close games. And I by no means am not saying the Giants have no chance or the Giants are going to get killed. I think it's going to be an incredibly close game.
But I think you're going to look at a one-score game because, by the way, that's what the Giants do also.
That's what the Giants do. That's what the Vikings do. And I think the game from a few weeks ago means very little. I think sometimes we try to make a big deal out of rematches. And if I'm not mistaken, Craig, every playoff game this weekend is a rematch from a regular season game. Every one of them. Including Dallas-Tampa, even though that was all the way back in week one. That was the opener of the season.
That was the opening game. And heck, I could give you, I think it was week 2 when Jacksonville blew the Chargers out.
Means nothing.
Means nothing.
Most of it means absolutely nothing. But We have a recency bias. So I think a lot of us are just going to go back to that game and say, wait a second. Giants made a couple of big mistakes, a couple of bad turnovers.
Yes.
And they still only lost because of a 60-plus yard field goal. Oh, they're going to beat them. It's not as simple as that. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I hope the Giants win, but my gut feeling right now is the Vikings win.
All right, listen, we got lots to do today. We got your calls, Jets, Giants, playoffs overall, of course, all of it.